Thanks for tuning in to the Urban Scope podcast. I will be covering Young Jeezy, which his name was Young Jeezy at the time, the Recessions album. The Recession album, which I feel is his best work that he put out artistically from a rapper standpoint. It is, I consider it also his most sophisticated or his most intricate work as well, just because of the different dynamics and the aspects and the maturation process that occurred during this album. And when you think about all the stuff that was surrounding around the time of this album. Now, I believe I was sophomore or junior in college when this album released. So the title Recession was reference to, of course, the recession period around 2007 or 2008 when America was going through the recession. Now, I didn't feel effects of it because, of course, I was in college and, of course, I was just living off student loans and just living in everything was on campus. So I didn't have to deal with the real world at the time. But um, Jeezy, being an artist, he covered something that no other artist covered around that time, at least exclusively from an album perspective. They might have touched on it from a few songs here and there, but no one geared their album around the recession at that time. And Jeezy was known as a straight trap rapper, rapper that rapped about the streets and what he did in the past. But this album covered something totally different. It had those aspects as well, but for the most part, he showed that he watched the news, that he reads the story headlines and things like that, and he expressed about how people were out bad, at that time, and how the economy was going down, and there was change going on. And another thing was the presidency race that was going around that time. It was Barack Obama and John McCain at the time, and the country were getting ready to get the first ever black president ever to be president of the United States. And this album released in September of 2008. And of course, the election was in November. So a lot of this stuff was hope and, just seeing the glass half full instead of half empty. So he addressed that album from that perspective. Nevertheless, he gave us a great body of work, 18 tracks, which is crazy now because most artists don't give you that many tracks. And if they do, it's a double disc. But most audiences, it's hard. It's very difficult to captivate audiences with so many tracks. And most artists now maybe put out 10 or 12. And 10 seems the magic number for everything because a lot of TV shows stop at 8 or 12 episodes now because most fans get kind of stale or their writing kind of gets stale after maybe about 10 episodes. So 10 seems the magic number for not only music, but television as well. But, this album, I think it showed that Jeezy wasn't one dimensional. And it also shows that I always talked about that your music doesn't have to be one dimensional. Just because you are a country artist, that doesn't mean you don't need to do R&B, or if you're not R&B, you can't veer off the country. And just because you rap don't mean you have to rap about gangster stuff. You can rap about love, and you can rap about family life and things like that, and it still be cool. And Jeezy kind of showed that with this album. He put on display, like I said, 18 tracks, which is pretty lengthy for now to put out a project. But I think there were no skips on this album. I could listen to this album 1 to 18 without hesitation, and it didn't get stale for me, or I didn't feel like this track wasn't for me ever at any point. And also, I have a emotional attachment to this album because it's around the time I was in college. So a lot of the probates from fraternities and things, they played songs off of this album. And I also remember the track, My President is Black, and I went to HBCU, so all black college, well, majority black college, I should say, not all black, but majority black college, Tennessee State University. I remember watching the election night from the lobby, and when President Obama called, I mean, not President Obama called, but when President Obama won, I remember my dad calling me and telling me about all the times that he would tell us, you can be anything you want to be. And he talked to me about that and just saying, everything is is coming to fruition into that matter. So it was a very emotional time, of course, being, seeing the first black president. First time I was eligible to vote, I voted for a black president, and for us to have a black president around that time was everything. And everyone was playing the song on campus, and everyone was driving around in their cars playing the music. It was a very special time, I should say, in hip hop and also in United States history and for black culture at that time. So that song will always have a special place in my heart, and that album as well, just for the simple fact of those factors. But, like you said, America was looking for a change at that time, and Jeezy ironically changed at that time to talk about different things and to put out new material and to go totally, a total 180, which most artists are probably scared to do today. They kind of stay in that box, but Jeezy was able to get out of that box at that time. That I want to say that was his most sophisticated work, but now he does rap about new things, about ownership, about his family life, and about just other things in life other than just the past, because you can't always rap about the past. At some point you have to move forward. And I think Jeezy has grown a lot from that. He's more into politics now. He's into ownership and into family and things like that. So he's not the same person he started off as, which, we loved all those Trap or Die albums and mixtapes, but he was able to expand to other things and show another side of him that most artists didn't see when he first initially was introduced into the game. Another song off that album was Put On with Kanye West. Very good song. And then the remix had Jay-Z on it. So it made you proud of your city. It was one of the greatest city rep songs of all time. And Jeezy just being able to hold his own with a Kanye West at that time and with Jay-Z as well. It was very special to see, especially in 08. A lot of great albums came out in 08 during that time period as well. So, but like I said, there was no skips on that album, and that's my favorite Jeezy album. And also to talk about the production on that album was great. He had Justice League and others on that album, and the sound was great for what he was trying to do at that time. It was like black superhero music, so to speak. A lot of those songs were very uplifting and very upbeat, and they was great for college time at that time, like for when you go out and you're in the student center or you go into class and people playing the music through the speakers. It was great music at that time, especially in spring when springtime, everyone's out and everyone's sitting on the bleachers and sitting on the benches and things like that, waiting to go to next classes. It was a very special time, especially in HBCU, which I miss dearly. Being around that atmosphere was the best and the best times of my life. And that Jeezy album was definitely a part of that history of my college career. But thank you for tuning in to the Urban Scope podcast. And until next time, I'll see you next time.